everybody. Welcome to I've Been There, Brother, the show about the things we all face, we don't talk about, and how if we do, it can bring us together. My name's Keith. That sharp-dressed man is William.
Good morning.
We're glad that you're here. Oh, William, you look super pro today. I literally rolled out of bed and threw on clothes that I worked out in yesterday.
Nothing wrong with that. Do you do that to all your sweatshirts, or you cut the collar off?
I just cut the hoods off.
Well, that was a hoodie.
This is a hoodie that I cut the hood off. Has a unique look. I like sticking my hands in there in the garage, you know. But I don't like having hoods flop around whenever I'm moving around, and you know, you lay down and do like something on the bench, and it kind of binds up behind your neck. So I just cut the hood off.
Yeah, I've now in the last couple of days seen you, and I've seen you do that before with other sweatshirts, but
they're hoodies.
Yeah, one other or hoodies, and I've seen it now 2 other times with other people that I've paid attention to and find it interesting. Do you do it to your sleeves too, where you cut your sleeves off?
No, I'm not that cool. And the sleeves are still intact. Still got my little pouch down here.
I like the idea of the pouch. Maybe that's a thing. Like, why don't they make, crew necks that have pouches?
Mm-hmm. I also like having a little room to breathe whenever I'm working out in the winter. So
that makes sense.
People make fun of it a little bit. That's okay. I've been made fun of for worse things throughout my life. My ears were this size whenever I was born. So I used to have really big ears. My head grew into my ears. And then my last name. Got made fun of my last name a lot growing up.
That's valid.
Whenever your last name is basically penis, that'll do it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that or your first name's Richard.
Think if you were Richard Cox.
I mean, my last name is Johnson, so.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you look really sharp today.
Appreciate it.
I like the polo. I like the black shirt over it. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we're ready to go. Short on time with the schedule today, so.
All right, what's going on?
What is going on? Busy. My wife's gone this week, so schedule is even tighter than usual.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot this week. Nothing, the world keeps spinning. Time doesn't stop. Keeps rolling.
I feel like I have a lot going on, too. We talked about that yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever feel like you get so caught up in how much time there actually isn't in your day, and you try to do so much?
Do I feel like I get caught up in how much time there isn't? I don't know. I don't know what that means.
Like how you feel like there's just not enough time in the day for you to do what you need to do.
I think I felt more like that whenever I wasn't very organized, and I got less done, and I felt like there wasn't enough time in the day.
Yeah.
Time in the day, and I probably spent 8 hours a day on social media during that time. I wish I had a little bit more time. I feel like I'm getting everything done, but just by a hair.
Yeah.
The spot that I'm in right now is, dude, I just want to be great at everything I do. And I've just taken more and more on, and I don't know if I'm great at everything I do right now. I don't think I'm doing bad, but I definitely, I'm feeling like I have found the limit of what I can do well. And maybe gone a little bit past it.
Yeah. And I think I wonder sometimes, I'm kind of in that same boat right now. I'm very much at a capacity with being capable of keeping things in the good space before something somewhere starts to maybe kind of falter, I guess. Not go bad, but like I'm not giving it my all in maybe a certain space.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, I think I'm like kind of like right at that cusp. But is that where we then start to kind of, just like working out, kind of work it out and build a muscle add a little strength, kind of get better at something, become more efficient, maybe.
Yeah, I'm sure that's in there. I feel like I have been, working that muscle and getting better and more resilient.
Yeah.
Everything that I coach people on. But I feel like I'm at the point that I need to reevaluate if I need to take some things out of my life. I don't know what I would take out, right?
Yeah.
And maybe it's nothing. Maybe I do just need to get more organized, but I feel like I have too much on my plate.
Yeah. I have a tendency to not say no to things when I should be, when I probably should pause and like think about it for maybe 24 hours because I'm a very actionable, active person of, well, why not? Why can't we just add it? Let's just do it. Let's move forward.
Yeah.
Let's add it. We'll figure it out as we go. And I think at the same time, I put myself in positions where I have to adjust or I have to eventually say no and back out of something, which that's like my least favorite thing to do.
Yeah. So what's on your plate right now? Like what, and where do you
Work.
start to prioritize it?
Yeah, business. Well, so on my plate right now, like my biggest thing is even just my home immediately. So like home being my faith, kind of making sure that I stick to script on what I'm trying to do there with different Bible studies, different practices, and just my day to day. My family, so my wife and my kids, making sure I have time for that. My wife's gone, like I said, so
Yeah.
essentially my kids now. Single parenting for a couple days is kind of eye opening how much you realize it's a team when half the team is gone.
Yeah.
And then work. Our businesses don't stop moving. Whether it's issues with people, issues with companies that we're working with, all that stuff, and then starting a coaching business for fitness and lifestyle. And it's, there are people that I've already got a few clients that becomes a weight as well. So it's just a lot. And sticking to also just my core, like all the stuff that that I've really built in the last year. I kind of think that's all encompassing all of those things I just said, but not falling off on my own growth, on my mindset, my emotion, my sobriety, all of that. Not that I feel like I'm going to go back to drinking by any means, but I'm saying like, all that is part of it. I think I don't want to lose sight of all of the work that I've been blessed with being able to do. I guess I'm curious hearing all of that, going to your coaching, but I think as well as a person, with all the things I know about you, what do you feel like is on your plate that maybe you want to maybe say no to?
I don't know what I want.
What's on your plate?
Yeah, I don't know what I want to say no to. Okay, on my plate, personal development, trying to get a little bit better. And in that, I'm trying to be, I'm trying to grow my own leadership skills through continued education. I have a full-time job. I am running my coaching business. I'm in a new marriage, and my kids live with my ex-wife in a different state. And I'm trying to learn how to be the best dad that I possibly can. But I haven't had a dad in my life since I was 14. So I don't know exactly what it looks like in practice beyond that. Now, role models and things like that, people in my life. So there's some ideas there. And a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And a podcast. And working out.
Hit the list.
Uh-huh. And trying to not eat like shit. So I think I can take personal development, personal life, work, 2 jobs, personal development, working out 5 days a week, and not just going through the motions, really putting in effort. Like I have physical goals that I'm trying to work towards. It does not take a lot of time to stay on track with meals. However, that's structure. That's, I'm not just on the road traveling for work. I'm not choosing the easy option of eating In-N-Out burger. I'm like, okay, I gotta go seek out something that's good for me.
In-N-Out sounds really good, though. I do miss
In-N-Out
that.
is pretty good. I mean, look, I'm on the road a lot. In-N-Out might find its way into my routine, but it's not, it's not in there permanently. And managing through a lack of satisfaction in some of those things, because that's how life goes. Yeah, it's not all fun.
Yeah.
And sometimes, right, like my investment level is up here on certain things, and the return on that thing in that moment while I'm investing is low. And then sometimes it's this constant wave of shifting priorities and finding that balance that we've talked about. It's not all equally spread. I am putting way more into work right now. And I think I can feel in the return is not matching the effort, which I'm okay with because that's how that works. And the return's growing, but is the return kind of dipping in other areas where I've taken my focus off of a little bit?
Do you ever feel like you're like trying? I find myself doing this where like throughout my days, I'll think like, oh, if I have to do this, can I do this other thing at the same time? Like when the other day I had to run 10 miles and I had some other work to do. And I'm like, man, I wish I could just run and work on my computer at the same time. And I literally started looking up, like, is there like a hand control that I can get when I'm running where I can control the screen? But then I was like, oh, could I get one of those like the Apple Visions or whatever and run something as I'm running? And it sounds crazy, but I started thinking about that, like where could I multitask with that, or would I really get the most out of each one if I'm multitasking?
You ever watch Parks and Rec?
No, I don't.
You're not going to get this reference. One of the main characters, Nick, I can never say his last name, Nick Offerman. Offerman. Ron Swanson is his character.
See, I see clips of him, and I appreciate his character.
Great mustache. Speaking of mustaches, I slept on mine weird, and so it's like all crooked over on this side, and I got this little bit hanging off, and it's driving me nuts. I look real rough today. He's talking to Leslie Knope, another main character, and he tells this amazing story. It's hilarious. And then he ends with, never half-ass two things, only whole-ass one thing. And I think that is some of the best advice out there. So no, I don't do that. I've tried. We all multitask. So I'm multitasking on some level throughout the entire day. I try to give everything I do 100% of my attention. So whenever I'm working out, I have slipped into a bad habit of checking my phone. I'm really trying not to check my phone. I could probably, there's some things I do on my phone. I'll post some stuff before I go work out, and then I'm thinking about what I posted. Not saying that's a good thing, but I think about it. And I'll check it a few times while I'm working out. I might just move that. I might shift that so I can be more focused on my workout, because I have better workouts whenever I'm not thinking about other stuff. So yeah, I try to laser in. It sounds like you might be the opposite.
I mean, I'm a combination because my schedule, I literally schedule everything out now, where all the way down to like family time. And when I say it sounds probably a little crazy, but my days like from 4 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. It's like I have to know what I'm doing, because if I don't, the other day it happened where my schedule that is on my calendar that I'm aware of was off a little bit based on the fact that I didn't communicate to my wife what was on my schedule for part of the day. Mm-hmm. And I got, of course, a little bit bent out of shape about that. because my schedule changed because it had to fluctuate with what everybody else was needing. And I didn't stick to my schedule, and I kind of took it out on her, as in I was probably frustrated at myself and found an outlet for me to be frustrated with. And that caused a little bit of a riff where I'm like, you know what, I got to walk away because I'm not being nice. And it has nothing to do with her. It was everything to do with me being frustrated by having my schedule overloaded. And it was all the way down to, like I schedule out for my first hour, like what I'm planning to read that morning, and then my 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock or 6:30 is usually what I have for my workout, and what's that workout for the day, and then my time after that is literally for me to eat breakfast and be with my kids, and it's just all the way down to an incremental, like a science. And if it's off a little bit, man, and that's where I'm trying to figure out how to adjust and fluctuate on that, but like that's where I become, okay, I'm going to try to multitask as much as possible because I've got so many things to do in a day. Can I do these two things at the same time? Like, can I walk and work?
Do you think you're trying to do too many things in a day?
Yeah.
If you have to multitask that much?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I also think that I just don't, I'm not organizing it as best as I should probably. And I'm trying to cram a lot of work into a shorter period. So maybe I could organize my day better, but like there'll be times where I'm like, oh, for this period of time, I'm going to focus on this aspect of my work, and something, maybe a fire, will come up and we got to put that out. Well, that takes a lot of attention or energy. And
are you building that into your day though? Are you building in?
No,
You don't build there. There's no scheduled flex time.
none.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I couldn't do
Like
that.
down to lunch.
I couldn't do that because I don't know what fires are going to come up every day, but fires come up every day. I was reading a book that talked about that, about how, yeah, it's really good to be really structured, and you also need to literally schedule time to be creative, time to like allocate a couple hours a day to where I'm going to need this time. I don't know what I'm going to need it for, but I'm going to need it because shit's going to come up.
When you think about that, is that something that you schedule? Do you put it like, would you maybe, again, I'm going to do this because this is my reference of, I like to put it on on a calendar. Would you recommend putting it as like a time slot, or do you just add a buffer on the end of maybe a scheduled time of like, you know what, if I have time done, I'm time done. If I don't, I don't.
Well, if we keep referencing this book was about work, but a lot of what we do at work can carry over to our lives. So what they said is, don't schedule back-to-back meetings. Number one, if you're going to have if let's say you had 3 hours to have 3 1-hour meetings, your meeting probably doesn't need to be 1 hour. It can probably be 45 minutes, and you have a 15-minute buffer, which allows you space in between. And then they literally said to time block, like from 2 to 3. That's just blocked. I'm not going to take a meeting there. That's time for me. And they talked about actually scheduling time to think and be creative, again, about work. And that's referencing working on your business, not in your business. And then you have X amount of time based on what you do to handle fires. And if no fires come, then you get a little bit of time back. And that, if you schedule a little fire session from 2 to 4 p.m. and it happens at 10 a.m., well, yeah, that's fine. It's not in your time block. You're not going to push it off. But you can take whatever is scheduled at 10 a.m. and now you have this reserved time for it in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting over here being stressed saying, I feel like I have too much on my plate. I am not scheduled from when I wake up at 4:30 a.m. until 9:30 at night, like solid.
My schedule block, and maybe it's me over scheduling to be over analytical, could very well be that. And maybe that adds to my load in my own mind, but it is a chunk. Like it's fully blocked. Like I was, I don't remember where I was, but I had my schedule brought open because I was looking at something because someone asked me a question about what are you doing on this day? And I opened it up And of course, it shows all the different blockings and everything. And someone goes, "Holy cow, what are you doing today?" And I'm like, just different work things, different organization. I just like to make sure I have my day blocked. They're like, "How do you function on that?" And I'm like, "Oof." Someone else just on the outside looking in, and it's like, you know what? I don't even have an answer for that. I don't think I'm functioning all the time. Like I think I'm reacting more than I'm responding.
Sounds like you need to go watch episode 1 of I've Been Their Brother in terms of letting go of control. You're trying to control every minute of the day.
Yeah, that is definitely a problem of mine.
You've got, not you, the collective you, us, me, you. There was a difference between maybe being structured and really dialed and also prioritizing. Maybe I'm not prioritizing. Maybe not everything needs to get done every day.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Maybe I'm doing it at the wrong times. I also have amazingly high expectations of myself.
Yeah, that can be a detriment because I have the same problem. And I also have the belief that when I do something, like not just the high expectation, but I am going to be excellent at it's going to be the best that I can possibly do. And if I don't, I've failed. And so now I got to fix it and then I got to do it even better next time.
Starting a business has been a really good check for me. Everyone tells you that it's going to be really hard and you go, I know it's going to be really hard. And I think there's this voice in the back of my head that was like, yeah, but I'm going to make this thing happen really fast. And so things are definitely progressing faster than expectations. And I can compare myself to people who do what I do. And I go, okay, you know what? This is going really well. But that voice in the back of my head is like, yeah, but it's not going as fast as it could.
I just had a meeting yesterday and had the same discussion about my coaching business where I just hit the ground running and I'm still adjusting and building and iterating to perfection or iterating to awesome is kind of what I'm dealing with right now. And holy cow, when I started like, okay, how many hours a day do I have available before I start focusing on that with what I'm currently doing with my family, my faith, my business, and then adding another business, and then you add in the podcast and social media and how that intertwines with everything. And I'm like, shoot, when you think about how much time is available, I don't know if I have as much as I want to have.
I knew I needed to get more prioritized on the things that mattered. Whenever I did the math in the beginning, and I think this was necessary, but I had to back off because I went, wow, when someone signs up, I actually don't have any time in the day to service clients because I'm spending so much time doing other things and do those other, like, you can only change the wording on something so many times. And you're like, I have spent 2 hours on these 5 sentences. And does it really matter?
Yeah. That's tough.
Here's a news flash. It doesn't.
Sometimes I catch myself trying to adjust that. Like, does this sound good? Does this sound? And I'll ask my wife constantly. I'll ask for like reassurance. Because I feel like I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to screw up or I'm going to come across the wrong way. And I don't want that message to be misunderstood. And then all of a sudden, like you said, 2 hours rolls by and I'm like, oh, what did I get done?
Spent 2 hours doing this. Yeah. And it feels productive, right? You're like, man, I am building this thing. And it's like, no, you wrote an Instagram bio.
Or I then go to like, when you're thinking about like all of our posting and then some of the negative comments and it's like, I read into those and I'm like, I want to just fire back sometimes. Like you're not listening to me or you're not hearing the way I meant to say that. And
here's how negative comments can tie into this conversation, right? So whether you're like, for us, we're trying to build a business and a brand. and someone has something negative to say, this could also be at work and someone's offhand comment that rubs you the wrong way. Here's where I think it ties into stress. It does for me less so than it used to. I have not. I will consume some of that scheduled time to then overthink what someone said. And I wish that I could say that it just doesn't bother me. They do. I have gotten better at letting it go, but in the very beginning, I spent a lot of time not only overthinking the 4 words in these sentences that I'm putting out there to try to represent myself, but it's easy to spend an hour going out and you know what? And I multitask. I'm doing a workout, but I'm thinking about the dick that blew me up on Instagram or YouTube. Good night. That one's rough. And I don't get as good of a workout, or my workout takes an hour 15 instead of 50 minutes. I'm trying to write, I write every morning, but that writing's not as good because I'm thinking about these things that I have no control over and that have absolutely no impact on me.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not letting that go as much as I think. Maybe I'm holding on to some negative stuff, and that is what's stressing me out. Maybe I don't have too much on my plate. Maybe I have too much on my mental plate, and there's shit rolling around up there that's consuming 3 hours a day or causing procrastination. And
I think we all get that. I know that's where I'm at.
I think that we all do get that. Yeah.
That happened to me yesterday with when I was on a call. I was talking about different priorities, and I was being asked, like, what are my priorities? Where is my focus? And in this case, one of the things was where I'm listing off all these things, and I didn't list my faith, which, 2 weeks ago, that would have been like number one for me over everything. And it wasn't even top of mind for me in this discussion because it's like not what I was dealing with right now, because it wasn't something I deal with. It's part of my day to day, and it wasn't a struggle at this time, so it wasn't a priority. But really, I'm like, no, that's part of what's grounded me. And then, like this morning, like here we are talking, and the podcast didn't even make my list. And it's like, because now I'm trying to do all these, like there's all these things that are like jumping around back and forth, and what is priority and what isn't priority. And I'm trying to do so many things. And you mentioned like you're writing. I'll be reading in the morning. I'll be reading the Bible, and it's like I can read an entire chapter in the Bible and not remember a word from what I just read.
And you feel bad about it, right?
And I'm like, gosh, I got to reread it. And I reread it.
Yeah, I gotta reread it.
Because I'm thinking about, like, I'm reading here, but I'm thinking about something else way over there that has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. And it happens even when I'm reading my books. Like if I read this, one of my books at night before bed, and I can spend an entire, because it takes me forever to read a chapter. I am a slow reader, and I will get through an entire chapter, and I'll think to myself, man, what did I just read? Like, I don't even remember what I read. And I will put the bookmark back, and it's like, then I just give up. It's such a fatiguing thing on my brain. I'm like, I just need to go to bed. And then I just never accomplished that. And I feel like then I wake up feeling unaccomplished, and so I have to reset my day. And then I'm always playing reset. It feels like sometimes, I shouldn't say always, but when I'm overexhausted on certain things, like on my emotional set.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard.
Do you think you have a realistic time frame on being successful in things that you want to be successful in?
No, I don't think I do. I think like you said earlier, I want things like, can I do things faster? Can I do things like, can I get to the end goal? Or I was just saying how I want more clients for my coaching. I want to take on more, but I'm by no means ready for that in a way of my organization. I'm not saying I couldn't handle it if that came on, and if I was blessed with that, awesome, and I would handle it as I need. But I'm not seeking it at this point in time because I want to give the attention to the ones I currently have. But I also have my family, my faith, and my other business. And it's like, man, I see people, and I think to myself, or I listen to people that have hundreds of businesses, and I'm like, how do they do it? And I'll listen to them, or I'll read their books, and it's like, man, what are they doing differently? And I think to myself at the same time, are they doing it, or are they just doing the same thing I'm doing, and they just did it on a bigger scale?
I think there's a reason that you don't get it all at once.
Yeah.
I think you want to be able to handle it. Next question. Are things supposed to be fulfilling all the time, even if they're important to you?
I don't know if they're supposed to be fulfilling. I think I want them to be fulfilling because if I'm going to take time to do it,
I agree.
then like I want it to be worth my time because time is so expensive, and not just in a monetary value, but I mean, we both had parents die at younger ages. We both have experienced life in fast lane, and now it's like we're taking a lot of that same energy and putting it into business and growth and self-improvement. And I think it's like I want to continue to seek that fulfillment in everything I do. I want to make people's lives better just as much as I feel like my life is better. And it's like that's not where I need to put all my energy, because then I think I falter in my own.
I know that things are not going to be fully fulfilling all the time. Like, I know that. And I'm just thinking out loud here. I go, maybe I'm really stressed out, whenever all those things stack at the same time in terms of they're at a lower spot on the fulfillment gauge. So workouts, I'm not feeling as fulfilled as I know I can. My personal life, not as fulfilled. Work, not as fulfilled. Business that I'm building, not as fulfilled. Maybe whenever those all four like hit the same low fulfillment, maybe that is making me feel stressed out. Again, maybe it's not too much on my plate because I have plenty of free scheduled time in my day to get stuff done. Maybe it's just whenever all four of those feel like a slog of mud that you're just pushing through it, maybe that's what I'm going through. What do you think about that? Maybe that's what it is. Because I can't think of any, there's nothing I want to remove. Like, is there anything
What's
that
your favorite part of your day?
Favorite part of my day?
Favorite part out of everything, thinking of the lows.
On the day.
Just in general. Like
the morning.
You could name the morning.
The morning. I love my morning. It is rare to have a morning. Now, not this morning. I'm not in a great mood this morning. So I went to bed. Stevie stayed up late working. She came to bed at about 2 a.m. and woke me up, took me out of my routine. Not that I get enough sleep anyway. So she was washing her face, and it felt like for an hour. It was probably 90 seconds, but it felt like an hour, and it woke me up, and then she laid down, and she couldn't sleep, so she's tossing and turning. She's trying to be quiet. She's doing, it's fine. She didn't do anything wrong.
No.
But then I was irritated, so I'm like, I'm fucking up, at 2 a.m., and I get up to leave. She's like, lay down. Then I'm tossing and turning, keeping her up. I go out to the couch. I sleep for like an hour. So I'm tired today, and my routine was disrupted. This is not my favorite morning. My mustache looks weird because I slept on it in a strange way. And
then I show up in a polo for the first time.
Oh, you look pro. And I'm like, I look like I crawled off the street. So that's okay. I don't even know how many people actually watch this rather than listen to it. Maybe they will now.
Hey, we're talking about life.
Yeah. And what were we talking about? Oh, favorite part of the day.
Screwing up your time, favorite part
but,
of your
dude,
day.
I love the mornings. Yeah, it's quiet. I've stacked the most, what I feel are the most valuable things in the morning.
Yeah, what part of the morning other than the most valuable? I mean, like, if you can think about it, like if you were to put a feeling on it, what is the feeling you get?
Productivity. Yeah. I get a lot done. I get a lot done from 4:30 to 7.
And that's probably the same for me. That's where it's like so many boxes get checked, and I'm a box checker. Like,
it sounds like we're very similar from 4:30 to 7.
Yeah.
And then pretty different after 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Like I go in, I need to get that done. I have a full-time job. Yeah. And I need to give that job attention. That job is not filling my fulfillment bucket right now. So that's That's a big stressor for me.
Yeah, and I don't know about for you, and very much this happens for me with our businesses. There's other personalities and other people, and I think I carry some of that as well. Where I don't intentionally do that, but we have people that have other lives as well, and I try to make a lot of people happy, and so I wear a lot of that emotion for them, or I try to focus on their day to day in our businesses, and it's like, oh, if they're not satisfied in our businesses, what are we doing wrong? And it's like I think I wear a lot of that emotion, and then I try to put a lot of those fires out when I can't control their emotions, but I try to control the environment, and I also just try to control everything, and I have to let a lot of that go, and that's a struggle every day.
I think another exhausting thing for me would be, I look in the mirror on everything, and that's just been trained into me to have self-reflection, which is fantastic. And I do love that, but I kind of tend to just always just be super critical of myself on everything that I do. And
Do you think that has to do anything with your past? Like as in maybe
no, I think it has to do with work. Like I was trained that at my previous job. Like everything was, well, what was in your control? Look in the mirror before you look out the window. What could you do better? Congratulations on this big victory. What are you going to improve next time?
Look in the mirror before you look out the window. That's an interest. I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's from a Jim Collins book. So whenever something goes right, you should, well, here's how it actually is set up. Whenever something goes right, we'll use your businesses.
Yeah.
You should not look in the mirror and give yourself praise. When something goes right, you look out the window and you give praise to your team because that's who actually made that happen.
Yeah.
Whenever something goes wrong, you should look in the mirror and go, how did I fuck this up? What could I do differently? So that is
I subconsciously do that, but
yeah.
I think I also continuously get stuck there and then never focus on the window.
So something goes wrong today at 1:00. It's easy to look out the window and go, well, you messed that up. You need to improve this. The more advanced approach would be look in the mirror and go, well, they messed this up. What did I not provide them for them to accomplish that successfully? And that's where you start. And once you can say that you truly did everything in your power, you communicated, you gave resources, all of that, then you can look out the window and go, okay, I've given you everything that I think of, and I've talked to you about this before. That's where that comes from. I spend a lot of time looking in the mirror on fucking everything, and I beat myself up a lot.
Yeah, I think I do that subconsciously without, I know I do. I do that. I just said that about my scheduling, and I've definitely been beating myself up the last little bit of like, I'm not getting enough done is kind of what I'm saying. And yet I'm getting a lot done. I am getting a lot done. And I still feel like I'm not failing, but just dropping the ball somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't feel like I'm failing either. Just feeling spread thin.
Because I also think there's a lot of people that don't do what we do. There's a lot of people that choose to punch a clock, and that's fine. That I get that. There's a lot of people that don't want to create a business, that don't want that responsibility, that appreciate their balance of what's balanced to them. And yet I'm dissatisfied with that. And I want to build more. I want to create more, and I want to help more. And I think I can overexhaust myself because of that, because I'm striving for more constantly. I'm always maybe trying to find fulfillment in so many things, and I need to slow down, and that's where I need to pump the brakes.
Do you find yourself being critical or judgmental of the people who aren't doing as much as you?
Oh, I definitely feel like I can do that. I can feel like, oh, you're being lazy, you're not doing enough. Maybe get up a little bit earlier. You'd figure out then. It's like, kind of more of like a pointing a finger of, this is what I did, and that's where I'm looking in the mirror before I'm looking out in the window at people of like, hey, you know what? A half hour earlier and they're finding some peace and grace. And instead of saying, oh, you should try to do this now, you should add this now, I find myself pushing and pushing and pushing. So yeah, I can definitely say I can be critical of others.
That's my default too, right? To be like, well, I do this, you can too. And man, I've worked really hard um, recently to be like, yeah, but I don't know their story, so I
Yeah.
don't know what they're actually dealing with. Um, so one, that's not fair, and two, not everyone needs to wake up at 4:30 in the morning.
No.
Maybe it's staying up later. Maybe it's using the waking hours that they have more efficiently, taking a little page out of your book and being more structured. It's just different. It's that what we do is not going to work for everyone, but I think that it's finding your own voice with it. It's saying, well, I need to find some time. And you're right. Like maybe it's not 30 minutes earlier, maybe it's 30 minutes during the day because like their schedule literally doesn't allow that.
And I could probably learn from that same comment. Like, you know what? I need to buffer my schedule better. I need to
I think you
maybe
need to build
short.
some buffer time in your schedule.
Yeah. And actually abide by that. Like, as in, if I put in the buffer, don't just see that as, oh, now I've got more time to get more stuff and just fill it up and cram it and cram it and cram it. Utilize an actual buffer.
Dude, I want time every day where I get to enjoy the things that I have gotten for myself without it being on a clock.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's where as an entrepreneur and creating businesses and all of that, I think that also creates a problem for me because I'm my own person and I feel like I'm trying to I think it all kind of starts to mesh in a way of it's all a part of the same thing, but yet my wife and my kids don't care one bit about what I'm doing with our businesses, and they don't care. I mean, my wife, I'm not saying my wife doesn't, but you know what I mean? Like, to them, that doesn't matter. They want time with me. And I've talked about that with my own parents, specifically my dad growing up. Like, much of my childhood, I never saw my dad. He was working open to close and cool. He's got a great work ethic. He bust his butt. And yet, I think during that time, he had a lot of stress and anxiety, and it led to, to my knowledge, probably some mini heart attacks, some anxiety attacks, and early death. And I'm not saying that's why, but I don't want to live like that. And I'm getting better at balancing that, but then I pick up a load as soon as I feel like maybe I'm being lazy or I'm having too much freedoms. I then just throw it on top and be like, okay, nope, we got to double down. We got to hone in here. We got to dial it in. We got to do more in my day. And then now it's just like, it's not crumbling, but it's, boy, the blocks are just, it's heavy.
Number one, I need to reevaluate my expectations, because I have really high expectations. I really think that's a great thing. Are they realistic? Probably not. And I'm afraid to lower my expectations on some things because I go, am I settling? I think I can adjust some of my expectations. I think that's number one for me. Number two, for me, I believe that me saying I have too much on my plate after this conversation, I don't think I have too much on my plate. I think that's an easy button for me to hit so that I don't have to do serious self-reflection about what's actually causing me the stress.
Yeah.
I think the expectations that I have set on myself probably being a little unrealistic. And then I'm burning time every day, probably holding on to some things that I shouldn't, or overthinking some things that I shouldn't, and I should just be moving on. I think that is causing that stress. And instead of deep diving into that, I'm saying I have too much on my plate. Let's strip some stuff off so I don't have to actually think about where I need to improve on the things that I'm doing. And improving does not mean taking more on. I think it means I need to let some things go, but I don't think they're physical things. I think I'm carrying a lot of mental weight that I need to sort through that. That's what I've taken away from this conversation.
Yep. Like, when is enough enough?
Got anything you learned today?
I think that's it. I would completely agree with you on instead of just stripping it away, kind of breaking it down and like I just said, when is enough in a situation?
Yeah.
Much like my schedule, when do I have enough on there that I can maybe not add more? Just because there's a gap there
Dude, you got a
doesn't mean I
lot.
have to add it. Yeah.
You got a lot.
And I'm very grateful for it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I was saying to my wife the other night, because when she got in on her flight, and I was doing the dishes when we were FaceTiming each other, and we talk about our sobriety and stuff. And I'm also very vocal about that. And I was saying to her how, the kids were asleep and in bed. And, I was talking to her about, if she was home right now and we were just hanging out, here I am doing the dishes, trying to get like my organization for my day. And I said, you'd be out working, doing something in the house, and I'd probably be drunk. And that's not I don't have time to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's why I've probably picked up scheduling so many things. I think it's just that I feel so capable now. I think I push my limit because I think I'm unbelievably able, more than I ever have been in my entire life. And I'm very blessed to be feeling that way. But I also think I need to appreciate the time that I've been given.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that things like sobriety, weight loss, fitness, do you think those have become your identity? Like that is who you are?
No, I think I don't identify. I mean, I don't know if, like we talked about in our last one, I don't identify as an alcoholic, not saying that there's not that in the background, but yeah, I identify as a father, a son of God, and I think that's enough. And I think that my business doesn't identify who I am. And I think I'm finding that I have to believe that. Not have to, but I think I'm trying to fill. Because otherwise, if I don't have something there outside of those two items, I fill it with a bunch of junk. And so my identity could become something else.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably why I cram it all in. But no, I don't believe that that's my identity. I believe my identity is a husband, father, and son of God, and everything else just comes with that. So
Great.
How about yourself?
Whenever I got sober, I was
2 years sober.
Yeah, but I'm really
That's a feat.
worried. It is, but it's a thing. I think of it as a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a credit card that I carry in my wallet. It's not who I am, and I've been worried about as I accomplish things, making them me. That's my identity. I don't want to do that. I like putting it out there. I get very hesitant about putting some things out there because I'm like, yeah, but that's just a piece of me. I'm so much more than sobriety. I'm so much more than being a dad. I'm so much, what is the collective, Keith? And what does that look like? Who am I? I think I'm constantly working through that, but I'm afraid to attach myself to one label.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people do. I think that's what a lot of people do. You can see it out on social media. Maybe that's not really, it's probably not who they really are, but that's their thing. I don't want to just be a leadership guy. I don't want to just be the duck hat guy. I don't want to just be the sober guy. I want to be a collection of all of those things. And what does that look like?
Yeah. I want to be a good man.
Yeah. I want to be well-rounded.
Yeah.
I want to add value to other people. And I think about that a lot as I put myself out there to the public. And, and I think that can be we're talking about building businesses. I know that if I would pick one thing and go really, really hard on an extreme, you'll get more attention. but I'm trying to show every little facet of myself because that's who I am. And I think that waters it down in a social media age because it's not polarizing. But fuck, it's really true.
Yeah.
And I just get worried about, this is another thing. Clearly, I'm thinking about this. This burns hours in the day thinking about it. Yeah, I don't want to be, dude, I don't want to be confined to a box. I don't want to be labeled as a box. I want to be well-rounded and diverse.
Well, right now, from my point of view, just so you're aware from looking in, I'd say you're well-versed. And I mean that in a way of like, here we are on a podcast at 6 a.m. and I just, I feel so, and I keep going back to, I feel very blessed to be in a position I am in where I'm able to sit down with people like yourself, have conversation, reflect on our lives. And I think as we talk, I get challenged from my own comments and my own feedback of like when I listen back to myself or from your analyzing of me, not in a negative way, but in a very like the questioning, the bringing out more. I mean, I think that's part of your leadership that I really appreciate, where it does make me reflect and it leads into my day of, you know what, I can pause a little bit. I can think about this and I'm doing enough right now. I don't need to do more. I need to focus on what I'm doing enough of currently. And that's what I mean by when is enough, not as I need to stop and, that's it. It's like, you know what? I'm doing enough. I'm working very hard. I'm focusing attention. I'm putting it where it needs to be. And that's like, I need to focus on that enough because that is a lot. It is.
Are you prioritizing?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so let's focus on that. Let's do that. And I don't need to be like I can be, which is a little bit loony, a little bit crazy about it. And I can be a little bit hypercritical of myself and overdo it. And to you and to others, like when someone looks at my schedule and says, whoa, what do you do in a day? And I'm like, if I have to break it down and I can't, in my opinion, look at a schedule and explain to them, this is just blocked off for this.
Yeah.
And I have to elaborate to them, that's probably too much.
Yeah. You had a comment last time, right? Maybe it wasn't last time. Maybe it was a couple of, it was 2 years sober, right? And you said that you were an alcoholic, but you aren't anymore. Like that. Like, I don't agree with that, but I respect that you feel that way. Yeah. But I go, oh, dude, I totally was. And I still am. You know what I do? I'm an alcoholic who doesn't drink. Yeah. I took all of that addiction and I just poured that in somewhere else. So that's still there, right? I've just subbed out the what I am addicted to, and man, I wonder if you do the same thing. Because listening to your day, and I'm not trying to convince you to say that you're still an alcoholic. This is where I go, hey, you can call yourself, you can identify whatever you want. That doesn't mean I have to agree with it. And I think we need more of that in this world, by the way, I don't have to agree with everything that you say. I do think that we need to be respectful of each other and be like, we don't have to agree. But I can feel that addiction coursing through my veins. I just don't drink. And maybe that feeds into my expectations. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this hard. And I want to be great. And man, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. It's just a thought that's in my mind. And as you were talking about that, it just made me think about that. It made me think about that comment. It made me think about, it just made me think about that.
Someone else had commented. So that's one of those comments.
Yeah, I saw the comment.
Yeah. And I don't disagree with you. And that was one where I read into it immediately of like defending it. Like, I'm not saying I'm not an alcoholic to a point of like, that's not a part. Like if I were to start drinking again and things like that, no question. but I think I'm shifting my mind from the word of alcoholic to I am sober. And for me, mentally, the way I process is I have to hear it like that.
Yeah.
And that's not to, I think that you're very correct. We have to be able to have, you can have differing thoughts of how things are being said and done, and there's no one perfect way to do it. And like I immediately read that and I was reading that last night and I'm like, you know what? I get where the guy's coming from.
Yeah.
Like I can understand and appreciate that. And instead of me sitting there wanting to throw back some of like trying to defend my position, it's like, no, I don't. Like I appreciate that he took the time to listen to it, like you said
Yeah.
earlier, and make a comment that was
Yeah.
well thought out. Like that was a well thought out comment. And
Yeah.
I don't have, just like you said, and I don't have to agree with it.
No, you don't.
Talked about politics as outside of our conversations, and you know what? It is a polarizing world, polarizing topic, and I'm sure it'll come up some point. But you know, I think one of the best things is we can hear. I would love to hear. And I think that would be a great conversation where not just on the political structure of what it does for government and day-to-day things, but I think just as a personal belief of, I think I love hearing other opinions because you know what? Mine's not always right.
Yeah.
And it's just that I'm really strong in my belief, but I love hearing what other people have to say, even though I don't sometimes. I don't always. I don't always agree. And sometimes I'm like, oh, that's gonna rub me the wrong way. But
Yep.
what I think that's how we grow is like, you know what, I gotta self-reflect. I gotta pause a little bit and take it all in.
And so to me, I go, I don't know, did I become an alcoholic because that's what I am? Or do I have an addictive personality and alcohol was that thing that I became addicted to? But I can tell you, you know, that debate, maybe another episode, but the addictive personality did not go away.
Oh yeah, I would agree with you on that.
Yeah. That's there.
100%.
And I haven't tried
and
I made a conscious decision to not let it go away. I'm like, I'm just going to channel it somewhere else. And for a while, maybe until 15 minutes ago, I just thought of the positives that could come from that by channeling at least what I feel are positive. And I'd say they're positive. And not realizing that whenever you still have an addictive personality, even if you're working on positive things, you can have negative consequences. And I think that's what I'm feeling right now is my addiction to trying to be successful or take these things on, even though they're positive, I can have some negative come from that. And
that's heavy.
Yeah. Maybe that's what I'm feeling. And I wonder if you feel that too, right? Because you're in the same spot. We're stressed out, dude. Your calendar has me stressed out. Okay, my stress went up like 12%, and I'm like, damn, William.
Yeah, I got to slow her down a little bit, but yeah, I would think that's probably the addiction side. That's very accurate to say.
Yeah, that's what made me think of the whole thing, and in your comment. There you go. Now that came full circle. I lost my train of thought there in the middle.
Life is lifing.
Life is lifing.
Huh. I'm going to enjoy today. Tell you what am I going to take for this conversation? I'm going to enjoy today, embrace the day, and just appreciate all that I have going on in my life and take time with stride today.
I love it. William, appreciate you. Appreciate the conversation. Everybody else, we appreciate you too. Thanks for being here. Hope that you have a fantastic day whenever you listen to this, and you get to go out there and do fun stuff and do a little bit of self-reflection. If you're feeling stressed out too, that's where it starts. Maybe you don't have too much on your plate. Maybe you got too much going on in your head. You got to think about that. Dial it back. Good luck. We'll talk to you next time.